Only one would rise above all the rest. Not a flashy new invention. Not a rare blue. Not an iconic Italian legend. In 2025, the cheese that conquered the world was a traditional Swiss Gruyère. At the World Cheese Awards in Bern, 5,244 cheeses from across the globe were judged by 265 experts. Wheel after wheel, style after style, country after country, the field was narrowed down until only one remained at the very top. The winner was Gruyère AOP Vorderfultigen Spezial, aged over 18 months, made by Bergkäserei Vorderfultigen in Switzerland. That alone is a headline. But the real story is not just that this cheese won. The real story is why. Because great cheese is never only about taste. It is about place. It is about milk. It is about time. And above all, it is about discipline. Gruyère is one of the great monuments of European cheesemaking. It carries centuries of tradition, yet at the highest level, tradition alone is never enough. To produce a wheel capable of beating thousands of rivals, everything has to align. The milk has to be exceptional. The process has to be precise. The aging has to be patient. And the final result has to feel almost inevitable, as if every decision made along the way was leading to a single extraordinary moment. This winning Gruyère begins with raw cow's milk, the kind of milk that still carries the fingerprint of its environment. The alpine landscape matters here. The grasses, the seasons, the air, the rhythm of the land. All of it leaves a quiet imprint long before the cheese reaches a cellar. Then comes transformation. Milk becomes curd. Curd becomes wheel. But what makes a great Gruyère stand apart is what happens after that. Not in a few days. Not in a few weeks. But over many long months of aging, care, and observation. This cheese was matured for more than 18 months. That is where patience becomes flavor. Over time, moisture drops, texture tightens, aromas deepen, and complexity begins to build layer by layer. The cheese develops on spruce planks, drawing character from wood, cellar conditions, and careful maturation. Nothing here is rushed. Nothing here is accidental. And then there are the crystals. Tyrosine crystals are one of the most beautiful signs of long, controlled aging. Tiny, delicate, almost sparkling against the paste, they add a subtle crunch and signal depth, maturity, and concentration. In a cheese like this, they are not a gimmick. They are part of the architecture. A visible reminder that time has done its work. The flavor of a Gruyère aged this long is not simple. It is savory, nutty, brothy, sometimes almost meaty in its depth. There is intensity, but also elegance. Power, but also control. It fills the palate without becoming heavy. It lingers without becoming loud. This is the kind of cheese that does not need to shout. It simply stays with you. And that may be one of the reasons it won. In competitions like the World Cheese Awards, judges are not only looking for boldness. They are looking for balance, structure, precision. A cheese can be strong and still feel clumsy. It can be complex and still feel confused. The greatest cheeses do something far more difficult. They make complexity feel effortless. That is where Gruyère AOP Vorderfultigen Spezial seems to have captivated the room. Its texture, its crystalline maturity, its deep umami character, and its layered, composed finish gave it something unforgettable. Out of more than 5,200 entries, this was the wheel that stayed above the noise. And behind that wheel was not luck, but labor. Cheeses like this are built through repetition, through standards held every day, through small decisions that most people will never see. Temperature, humidity, milk quality, turning, brushing, timing, judgment. The romance of artisan cheese is real, but so is the rigor. To produce a world champion, tradition must meet precision at every step. That is what makes this story so compelling. The winner was not a novelty. It was not a trend. It was the result of mastery refined over years. And 2025 was not just a lucky year for Gruyère. It was a statement year. Because while this cheese claimed the top title in Bern, another Gruyère, Le Gruyère AOP Vorderfultigen, also won Best in Show at the 2025 Mondial du Fromage. On two major stages, in front of expert juries, Gruyère stood at the summit. That matters. Because it tells us something about the cheese world right now. In an age obsessed with speed, reinvention, and constant novelty, the highest honors still go to something older, quieter, and more disciplined. A cheese shaped by terroir, raw milk, wood, cellar time, and human patience. There is something almost poetic in that. One of the world's greatest cheeses did not win by chasing attention. It won by perfecting fundamentals. By respecting milk. By respecting time. By allowing craft, rather than hype, to lead the way. And maybe that is why this story reaches beyond cheese itself. Because the victory of Gruyère AOP Vorderfultigen Spezial is really a victory for patience in a rushed world. For depth in an age of surface. For mastery in a culture that often rewards speed over substance. Out of 5,244 cheeses, the one that stood above them all was a wheel of Swiss Gruyère, aged slowly, made carefully, and shaped by generations of knowledge. Not just the best cheese in the world for a moment, but proof that true greatness still takes time.